Oh shit, where I'm at? There I am. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles. We are celebrating Black History Month, and while we're celebrating the rest of Black History Month, that's why I'm wearing this dashiki. Plus, I haven't done laundry, so that's another reason why I'm wearing this shirt. Anyway, we're checking out Defining Moments in Black History, Reading Between the Lines by the great comedian Dick Gregory. Rest in peace. He passed away, I think, 2 years ago. Yeah, he passed away like 2 years ago. The year after, I believe, the pandemic is when he passed away. He was 97, or almost, well, he might have been 98. He was close to 100. He lived a good, long life, had 10 kids. Anyway, let's go ahead and check his audiobook out, and check it out on Audible when you guys get a chance. You can go to Audible and support his audiobook. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to come back with my reaction.
The story they tell
Hit the thumbs up button.
you about James Earl Ray, the man they say killed Martin Luther King Jr. They say he escaped from the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City. Now, never before James Earl Ray and never since has anybody ever escaped from that place. Not even Houdini could have done it. And James Earl Ray was so dumb that he had never committed a crime and not been caught by the cops 30 minutes after he did it. But for almost 50 years, they've been saying that this ignorant white boy escaped from the most secure prison in the country and pulled off one of the crimes of the century? Yeah, tell me another one, man. Here's how it happened, and here's how dumb James Earl Ray was. He's in Missouri State Penitentiary, and another white boy who was part of the real group planning to kill King walks up to him and says, "Hey, James, how'd you like to escape?" Ray tells him, "Yeah, when we going?" "We're not going. You are," the boy tells him. And Ray went for that crap. This was 1967, the year before King was killed, and Ray was working in the bakery of the penitentiary. They cooked the bread for the prison and 100 other places. Other prisons, state schools, old folks' homes, places like that. When they were done baking the bread, it went into big metal containers, which the guards then loaded onto a truck. If there was a body inside those containers, those guards wouldn't have known the difference. So on the day of the escape, James Earl Ray was in one of those containers when the truck pulled off.
Oh, wow.
After a while, it stopped on the road near some weeds, and Ray hopped out. Then, to show you how slick this whole thing was, a car just happened to pass by and Ray got a ride.
Wow.
From the same network of people who had sprung him from prison, the same ones that killed King impended on Ray. But they wouldn't do that for a while yet. So this criminal genius, this man they say was later responsible for one of the most famous killings in U.S. history, what did he do next? Messed up everywhere he went. Everything he tried. Went to Mexico to make porn movies.
What?
Now, you don't have to be a great director to make porn movies. Don't need Shakespearean actors working
Wait a
for
minute. So the guy who shot Martin Luther King, he went to, how did he get to Mexico? This is after he escaped. Okay, so this is before he did the actual, okay, what? Let's continue on. Hit the thumbs up button.
Or either. You aim your camera at folks having sex or making like they're having sex, and presto. It doesn't take talent. For it to go wrong, though, you need a special talent for screwing things up, and that's one talent that boy had spilling out his ears. Later, he applied his unique messing up abilities to being a bartender and even a dancer in Los Angeles.
A dancer?
Finally, after somebody else killed King, James Earl Ray made his messing up way to Canada and then England, and that's where they nabbed him and pinned King's murder on him. Incompetent as he was, the only way he could have killed King was by trying not to do it. But this was a dimwit the government sentenced to 99 years in prison for killing the man it wanted to see dead anyway. Wow. The man the government itself had killed. Now check this out. The Lorraine Motel where King was killed was nothing but an old whorehouse. What happened was, when King and his lieutenants went south, they had to stay in white-run hotels because the local people were scared they'd lose their jobs if word got out that King was staying with them in their homes. So wow. King stayed at the Crown Plaza, the Holiday Inn, places like that. At this time, J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the FBI, was trying to discredit King and mess with him any other way he could think of. When Hoover saw where King was staying, he got the word out to black folks, acting like he was their friend. With friends like him, black folks could have had an enemy garage sale.
You can tell they got little comedy pieces of personality. It's funny how they capture the personality of the person. You know, the person who's ever reading this, they're capturing Dick Gregory's personality. If you don't know who good Dick Gregory is, young people, go look up Dick Gregory and check him out. Really smart comedian, legendary. This is the guy who a lot of other comedians looked up to. Hit the thumbs up button.
Hoover said something along the lines of, "To my decent friends, the Negro people in Memphis, the lying Reverend Martin Luther King had told you to boycott white businesses, and he himself stays at the Crown Plaza, Holiday Inn." That meant the king had to move out of the Crown Plaza and into the Lorraine Motel. Now, the black woman who operated the switchboard at the motel, they say she died from a heart attack when King got shot. How'd she know King had gotten shot if he was out on the balcony and she was inside operating the switchboard?
Right.
Here's what happened. They killed her so no calls could get out.
What?
Another woman in a motel office said that before King checked in, a man had come and told her King would be there that evening and that he didn't like staying on the first floor. "You put him on second floor," the man said. So they put King on second floor where he was going to be shot. Now they had to set up James Earl Ray. They had brought this dummy to Memphis where he thought he was going to kill King. The plan was that the real assassin would do it and then kill Ray to make it look like he'd been shot after shooting King.
Okay.
Then they would plant evidence on Ray, but they hadn't taken into account Ray's special messing up superpowers. He was so powerful that way that he could mess up his own plans and other people's too. At the crucial moment, that nitwit saw that his tire was leaking and went to a filling station to get it fixed.
Nitwit.
He was still at the filling station when he saw all the cops running around the neighborhood. He got scared, left, and never went back. Later, he got caught at Heathrow Airport in London, not for killing King, but for the jailbreak.
Oh.
The best part was when they caught him in June, he was wearing a coat. That's the dude they say pulled off one of the crimes of the century. A man so out to lunch that he didn't even know what time of year it was. That's why you have to question everything they tell you. Grace Stevens, a snaggletooth couldn't read, couldn't write, probably black hat and common law wife of the motel owner, she got put in an insane asylum for saying that the man she saw running from the motel after the shooting didn't look like James Earl Ray.
Right.
Ask yourself why. And ask yourself this. Ever see the photograph of the people at the Lorraine Motel that day, pointing up after the shot rang out? How'd they know where the shot had come from? Let's say you're in a restaurant and a shot rings out. What do? Hit the floor, right?
Right.
Because you don't know if more shots are coming. But here these men are pointing up like they know what's going on. Why? And while you're thinking about that, think about this. In 1993, a white restaurant owner named Lloyd Jowers came forward and admitted that he had paid a man to kill Martin Luther King Jr. His restaurant was across the parking lot from the motel where King was killed. He got the money, $100,000, from a man named Frank Liberto, who was in the Memphis Mafia. The man Jowers paid was a lieutenant with the Memphis Police, Earl Clark.
Wow.
After King was shot, a cab driver named Paul Butler saw Clark running from the scene. Butler's mistake was going to the police and telling them what he had seen because a few hours later, he was as dead as King.
Wow.
What does that tell you?
Whoa.
James Earl Ray didn't have a thing to do with killing.
Wow. That's just too much of a coincidence of all these people that were seeing evidence other than what was presented just passing away. The switchboard lady passes away, and then this dude just ends up passing away. Whoa, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Wow. This is deep. Hit the thumbs up button, guys.
King, and the plot was bigger than Jowers, Clark, and Liberto. If not, why was Butler killed? Jowers may have been working on behalf of Liberto, and Liberto was part of the Mafia. But what was the Mafia in it for? Why did the Mafia care if King lived or died?
Right.
Because the Mafia was working for the people who did want King dead. Do I have to tell you who they were? The U.S. government. Think about what King was doing in 1968, the year he got killed. The things he had helped achieve, like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, desegregation of bus lines, it didn't change the fact that a lot of people were still living in poverty. They didn't have the basic thing they needed, a living. So King had decided to take a new approach. He was organizing the Poor People's Campaign. This wasn't about just civil rights. This had to do with all poor people, black, white, Mexican American, Puerto Rican, Native American. The plan was to set up protest camps on the mall in D.C., where the 1963 March on Washington had taken place. Thousands of people were going to occupy the place until they got satisfaction and made a start on getting economic justice. Now, it was one thing when King was stirring up black folks. But if he started stirring everybody else up too,
Oh, yeah.
well, in the eyes of the FBI and the CIA,
Yeah, he had to go. He was getting ready to try to unify everybody to get, like, wait a minute, the money ain't right. The money ain't right, and it still ain't right. It really ain't right now. It's all these, it's people that's becoming trillionaires, and people here are just barely making it. Everything's getting so expensive, and that's why wow, that's deep. He was getting ready to mess with their money.
that was going too far. He had become
Right.
too dangerous.
Right.
King's family brought a lawsuit against Jowers, and a half-black, half-white jury decided in 1 hour that Jowers had been involved in killing King.
Wow.
Maybe you never heard about any of this. Why not? Because the media doesn't tell you everything you ought to know. And you can't believe everything they do tell you. Okay? If you don't remember anything else from this book, remember that. The killing of black leaders. I want you to think about something. Malcolm X was killed in 1965. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed in 1968. And Fred Hampton, the leader of the Illinois Black Panthers, 21 years old, was shot to death in cold blood by the FBI in 1969. What did the three have in common besides being black leaders? At the time they were killed, they were all reaching beyond the black American community to make ties with other people. That's what the power structure is afraid of. People banding together. And when the power structure is afraid, people die.
Woo! Damn, Dick Gregory, man. Deep. What y'all think about that? Would you bring people together, not just black people, but all people, against a power structure? They are deceased. Wow. Man, that's cold-blooded. He right. That was a really good, man. This is a good book, man. Y'all can check it out. Defining Moments in Black History, Reading Between the Lines. It's a book by legendary comedian Dick Gregory. Check it out on Audible, man. Wow, that was powerful shit, man. It gets deeper. It's a big book, so I like listening to it, man. So I just wanted to share my reaction to the book. Really good, man. Anyways, what y'all think? Leave your comments. Subscribe to Charles and His World. Hit that thumbs up button.